What is some advice that is too late for you, but others ought to hear and consider? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Back up all your damn computer files. Put in an effort to maintain your relationships, romantic or otherwise. Always put in that effort. $1,000 isn't very much money to have, but it's a lot to owe. The future is so immensely unpredictable. Don't exhaust yourselves obsessing over it. Love isn't always enough. You can love somebody very much and the relationship still may not work. The more you let others, especially parents, control your life and don't establish boundaries, the more likely it is that you will be doing something you absolutely hate, but let others push you into doing. Establish boundaries and take control of your life. Start saving money now. It's better to have money and not need it than to need money and not have it. Don't use heroin. I'm clean now, but, just don't. Surround yourself with the right people. Just because you have a history with someone doesn't mean you need to keep spending time with them if you've grown in different directions. Stretch and exercise daily. It's far easier to maintain a healthy weight than it is to get to one from being overweight, obese. It's also a hell of a lot easier to do it while you're young than to start when you're close to 40. If something traumatizes you, seek help to come to terms with and deal with it. That shit can stick for a long time, and it stinks. If your partner overreacts to trivial things and makes you beg for forgiveness early in the relationship, then they will most likely escalate to abuse. Get out before it gets that bad. It will only get worse and it will only get harder to leave. Know your own worth. Don't be exploited by shit employers just because you don't think you're worth anything. You do deserve fair pay and reasonable hours. And sanity. It's okay to make yourself a priority. You can work every minute of every day and never have friends or holidays or time off. But you're not going to get a prize for it. At the end of your life, your boss, company will have won, but will quickly forget you. You won't be able to suddenly make memories and friends materialize. Don't stay in a relationship you know is dead 4 years after you realized that fact. Life is genuinely too short. You shouldn't be spending big chunks of it unhappy just to protect someone else's feelings. Don't settle for someone for reasons such as, we have been together for a long time or I don't want to be alone. Get out before you take the next step. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to walk away. Expand your interests in school. I did 12 seasons of sports in high school. At least a few of those would have been better spent on theater or music or some other type of creative activity. My parents had a terrible divorce. It was so bad I vowed I would never be the kind of person who divorced. This is shitty reasoning, people. It leads you to stay in crappy relationships. You don't want to eventually divorce. You can't control how your partner feels, but you can keep communication open as much as possible. Don't stay with that person who clearly doesn't value you, or who you clearly don't value. Have standards, and know that you deserve love. It's not always your fault. You don't have to feel bad and guilty for everything bad that happens in your life, and even if you do mess things up, it doesn't mean other people have the right to be a jerk to you. Don't ever self-harm. If you've just started and you're thinking it's not that bad or that it's not bad enough to ask for help, believe me, it's so much better to get help now. It's very hard to quit once you've done it a few times and it gets so exhausting trying to stop, but failing. Don't commit to having children with an alcoholic or an addict. You cannot fix them, and bringing children into that is unfair to them and you. To all those about to enter college, listen to everyone's advice, but you don't have to heed it. That advice might have been good for that person, but that person isn't you. Maybe it applies to you, maybe not. Follow your own path, but do try to learn from the mistakes of others, particularly if they took the time to warn you about specific pitfalls. But if they do tell you about good experiences, restaurants, etc., try them. Might not be your cup of tea, or might be the best experience ever. Either way, you diversify your experiences. Note, this applies to any point in life, not just college. Don't forget the condom. Don't smoke. There are better and more productive things to do on your days off than just drinking. Treasure every moment and follow your inner desires. You never know when it's the last time. From someone who lost the love of their life not too long ago. Never trust anyone with more than you can afford to lose. Always get any deals or agreements in writing. signed and with a witness, especially when family is involved. While you don't need to have your whole career mapped out at 18, make choices extremely carefully, because it can become bloody difficult or impossible to change them later. Before you buy something, ask yourself, do I need this shit? For example, that new iPhone XS 12 version, the second of may be nice, but if your phone does the job already, why spend the money? Be smart with your money. 2. Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't take criticism from. 3. Have a long-term goal and sacrifice for it. If you don't make the sacrifice now, what you want becomes the sacrifice. Don't believe your brain telling you you're unwanted unless you have actual proof that's the case. Talk to someone first to see if it's true. I nearly pushed away and lost an amazing friend group before one caught on just enough to know something was wrong. But a lot of times it's way harder for people to see if someone's struggling. Often, people will want to help, but they need to know there's a problem in the first place. For the love of God, don't go to uni just because you think it's the next logical step. Have a plan. Have an end goal. Be there for a reason. Moreover, if you realize that you're failing and losing the ability to function, reach out. There's so much help there just waiting for you. Don't end up like me, who had no real end goal, lost all desire and ability to do anything, and had to drop out with absolutely nothing to show for it. When you get your braces off, shell out the extra couple $100 for a second pair of retainers. For some stupid reason, I thought they had my bite impression on file, but there's no such thing. If you go without your retainer for like 3 months like I did, your teeth start to shift, and if you go back to your ortho, they'll create a new retainer based off your teeth now, not before when it was fly as frick. Or you could just not lose your retainer like me, or quickly visit your ortho after you lose them, but to each his own. If you love someone, let them know. Rejection is better than a lifetime of wondering. If you're not happy in your relationships or someone puts their hands on you, please don't stay. You are not obligated to make someone else happy. You can always say no. Don't build your self-worth around money. No matter how much you make, it will never be enough, and the more you have, the more you fear losing. Find other ways to feel good about yourself than the size of your paycheck. You don't need to get married. It's okay to be a single adult. I've had a hard time forgiving my parents for being so controlling over my life and choices. They always had a say in everything from my college education, girlfriends, my appearance and my health. Nowadays they feel like I don't tell them anything and exclude them from my life, which is kinda true, but I still see them on holidays, birthdays, and we sometimes text or talk on the phone. It's just that I don't want to get a freaking lecture when I'm 30 years old. I am the black sheep of the family, and I think we all know it. They all live a pretty standard conservative lifestyle, and that's something I've tried to avoid. I really agree with Ralph Lauren that you could end up miserable if you live your adult life the way your parents want you to and don't think for yourself. I almost fell in that trap, and during those years I was so depressed and felt totally useless the whole time. Since I've always been treated like a kid, everything in my life happened later than it should, except for the biological part. I really felt like I was underdeveloped when I started high school. I've been very rebellious since I moved away from my parents. At the age of 20, for the first years I couldn't do anything normal, just had to do it the opposite way just for the sake of it. But it passed, and today I have more healthy relationship with rebellion, but it's a big part of me, and will probably always be. I know at some point I must grow up and forgive them, but it's hard. I have a good life now. No more depression, no more anorexia, yeah that happened too, and no more self-destruction, and I feel blessed to have a healthy relationship with my girlfriend. But that's all thanks to myself, and me closing the door on them and saying no. Every time I see them, I get the same feeling, like I'm back there again. Every time they lecture me or patronize me, I just want to leave and never talk to them again. They don't care about what I want. They just want a freaking trophy to be proud of, and that I'll never be. Yeah, I know. I should tell them all this, but I can't. They can't handle criticism. If you read it all, thank you. 3. Drinking and driving will have a huge impact on your career and earning potential. Don't do it for that reason alone. Look at your significant other's parents' relationship and expect elements of it to come up in yours. Don't waste your teens and 20s solely focused on school and work in an attempt to have a stable financial base before you even try to socialize, even date, and get married. All that does is leave you with no social skills, no friends, a bunch of stress, and no real job growth, because a lot of jobs require social skills. Have 20% of your paycheck automatically deposited in a savings account. Do this from your first job and you'll always live below your means and have plenty in savings, investments. It's okay to be a bit selfish. Be childish while you still can. Do your homework in high school. Just because you already understand the subject doesn't mean you don't have to do the homework. High school isn't there to teach you about the world. It's there to teach you how to show up every day and be a reliable worker. Don't let your small dogs use the stairs. Buy a baby gate. I miss my Wilson every day because of my ignorance. Save some money while you are living with your goddamn parents. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more r/AskReddit content. Be sure to check out our playlist, link in the description below.